reproductive system. We have initially started this term in the previous session, right? So human male reproductive system, basically we can divide into two major categories: the primary reproductive organ and the accessory organs that help the transfer of the and the union of gametes for further fertilization process, right? So in the human male reproductive system that we'll be studying now, basically few major terms we have to think about, we have to study about that. First thing is the place where the male germ cells or the male gametes or the sperm cells are produced, right? That we need to understand. That is testes. One pair of testes is present in males. That is a pair. Okay. Again, testes is singular. I-S is singular, and E-S when I write it is plural. Okay, remember that. So basically, the function of this testes is to produce sperms. So it is a kind of organ, oval-shaped organs, present well protected in a thin sac-like bag called as scrotum. Inside scrotal sac or scrotum. And in embryonic stage, when there is when there is a male child, okay, male fetus growing. So in the embryonic stage of that male child, okay, the testes, they lie, the tiny testes, they lie in the abdomen, okay, they lie in the abdomen region, and shortly before the birth, okay, of that male child, they descend into the scrotal sac, they move towards the scrotal sac. If in abnormal condition it happens so that they fail to descend from there into the scrotal sac, and the condition results in sterility in males. That means incapability to produce sperms. Okay. So testes, two in number, that is one pair. Again, this is the place where the male gametes or male sperm cells or the male sex cells are produced. Okay. And most important, this again testes, this oval organ, oval shaped organ. Okay, no doubt it produces the male sperms or the male sex cells, but then these cells are very sensitive to heat and temperature of the body. In case of males, the scrotum, this scrotal sac, it lies little bit, away from the body's heat, in the hanging position in the scrotal sac, so as to avoid the body's heat and temperature, because the sperms remain active only at a temperature which is less than 2 to 3 degrees Celsius compared to the body temperature. Okay, so it is a natural ability of the scrotal sac to adjust the temperature there. When it is too hot, when the temperature around also is too hot, then naturally only this scrotal sac will start hanging from the abdomen region, and when it is too cold, the cells of the scrotal sac, they start contracting so as to come closer to the body and gain little heat of the body. This is the natural what you can say adaptation of the scrotal sac. But remember, the sperms need the temperature for their viability, for them to remain alive. The temperature 2 to 3 degrees centigrade less than the normal body temperature. Okay, in some cases even it is noticed that due to some of the other reason, there are many kinds of abnormalities. If the intestine has some problem, okay, so it starts bulging out and reaching to the inguinal canal, the passage from where the scrotal sac begins. From there till there, the intestine starts bulging and it interferes or pushes the wall of the scrotal sac. Okay, that abdominal pressure pushes the intestine to the scrotal sac, okay, and leading to a kind of condition called as inguinal hernia. Okay, so there are depends again on the severity of the case. So treatments and even surgeries are recommended according to that. This is an additional information for your foundation level. Remember, again the temperature needed for the sperms to remain active and all, this is again an information needed for your foundation level. Okay, now again, testes basically you can divide into two important segments section. Again, testes divided into two important segments or section. One is the seminiferous tubule, okay, Means if you look at the testis inside that oval shaped body, it is again divided into 15 to 20 lobules. Okay, so those lobules again they are called as seminiferous tubules. Okay, where actually seminiferous tubules, where actually the sperms are produced. Okay, but then in that complete network of those tubules there are intermittent gap. Okay, that is filled by interstitial cells. That gap is filled by interstitial cells called as Leydig cells. Okay, and they are responsible to produce the male hormone testosterone, right? So two important compartments division of the testes, one is the seminiferous tubules and the other is Leydig cell, interstitial cells. The seminiferous tubule responsible for the formation of sperms, and then the process of formation of sperms is spermatogenesis. Okay, then interstitial cells or Leydig cells responsible to produce or secrete or release the male hormone testosterone. Okay, then these testes, even though they are lying in that bag or sac called a scrotal sac, above that also, there's a supercoiled structure over both the testes. Supercoiled structure, knotted structure. Okay, that is called as epididymis. Epididymis. Epi above, didymus means above the testes. Okay, so this supercoiled structure, if it is unwound and stretched, it will go about to the length of 5 to 6 meters long. This you can imagine how supercoiled it can be, and it lies in connection with the seminiferous tubule. Okay, suppose this is the scrotal sac and this is the oval shaped testes. So here a supercoiled structure which runs continuously from the upper end till the backside of the testes. This is epididymis, and the sperms which are produced by the process of spermatogenesis in the testes through many network of ducts. They form 12 to 14 more ducts. They are called as efferent ducts. Efferent is away from, and afferent means towards. So efferent ducts. These efferent ducts they unite to form bigger duct, and that duct meets into the epididymis, from where the sperms formed here in the testes from the seminiferous tubules are transferred to the epididymis. Here the sperms remain temporarily for few days and then mature there. Okay, from there this epididymis, this knotted structure again further continues into another tubular structure which passes from the abdomen side through the inguinal canal and unites to the urethra. Okay, now that complete tubule, that structure is called duct, that is the sperm duct. Why sperm duct? Because it is responsible to carry the sperms from the testes. Okay, now from epididymis, a duct goes continuously all the way from the abdomen and all finally reaches to the urethra. Okay, then that duct is called as vas deferens or vas deferentia or the sperm duct, which is responsible to take the sperms from epididymis here and allow it to travel all the way. On the way, on its complete journey of the sperms from this seminiferous tubules and all, they are still not in a condition to become fully motile and show movement until and unless the important role of the accessory organs, accessory glands is played in. Okay, these glands are responsible in case of male reproductive system to add certain fluids in the in giving motility to the sperms, for allowing the swimming of the sperms so that they can easily move into the vaginal tract of the female. Okay, so for that a kind of liquid or lubricant medium has to be poured into the sperms. So at intermittent intervals, by default only the male reproductive system has that kind of glands located at the right positioning so as to add the secretion into that fluid and form the, what you can say, the seminal fluid finally called as, or the semen, what we say. Maybe you must have heard this word. Semen analysis is usually done in case of males who, in case of especially couples who have kinds of problem related to conceiving of the baby. So sterility, if the case is in extreme condition, sterility kind of factor in males as well as in females is checked. Like in case of males, whether the sperms are in proper number or not, whether they're active or not. The semen test usually is advised for such males. So semen actually is a kind of fluid, kind of transporting material which is poured from a vesicle, small tubular structure which has the ability to pour down a secretion which provides nutrition to the sperms as well as allow for the transportation, motility also of the sperms. So seminal vesicle again is an accessory gland which helps to form the semen, a fluid, okay, responsible for the easy transportation of the sperms. Again, there is another important gland called as the prostate gland. Basically, this gland also adds an important secretion in the form of a lubricant, in the form of an alkaline secretion. Prostate gland adds an alkaline secretion into the seminal fluid so as to neutralize the effect of the acidic condition of the female's vaginal tract. Okay, so prostate gland will release an alkaline secretion, and then the bulbourethral gland, which lies very close to the urinary bladder and the rectum side, that actually is responsible to add one more fluid which acts as a lubricant. Okay, so these important glands play an important role in the complete transfer of the sperm and to keep it motile and active. Okay, for that this fluid needs to be added. Then finally, what you can say, then the complete from the sperm duct or vas deferens, the sperms with the help of that semen and fluid finally reaches to the penis, and penis is the ejaculatory organ in case of males. Okay, actually inside that the urethra joins the penis. Okay, so we'll be studying with the help of diagram how actually the male reproductive system has the primary organ, the accessory organs, and how and at what all locations their important parts, they play their important roles. Okay, so student, this is the picture of the male reproductive organ. Okay, male reproductive system, sorry, completed, because it's not a single organ. It functions with the help of some other accessory organs also, so a complete system. Okay, now first is the primary organ where the actually male gamete sperms are formed. This is the testis here, right? Then what we studied from here, these sperms are not mature. They will pass to the epididymis, that knotted structure, right? They will remain there temporarily and become matured there, right? This part. And from there, the sperms will be traveling all the way through the sperm duct. Okay. Now here, this is the seminal vesicle. See, when the sperm duct also passes, okay, the vas deferens or the sperm duct, it has to pass. First thing, it has to ensure that when it passes, see this seminal vesicles, one tubule is connected with it, right? Sperm duct, it is passing all the way here, and vesicles duct is adding its secretion here, right? So here what is added? The semen, the fluid, the transporting material is added, which also provides nutrition to the sperms here. Again, prostate gland very closely attached here, again will add an alkaline secretion into the semen. This is needed so as to neutralize the effect of the acidic condition in the female's vagina. Okay, then important role here, seminal vesicle will pour down this here. Then here we have again bulbourethral gland. Here in the picture it's not shown, students. One more bulbourethral gland is there. It will add the the lubricant into the semen. Okay. Then dissolved semen has a kind of nutritive medium so as to nourish the sperms. Okay, and also provide motility to the sperms. Here, testis divided into lobules. Divided into two major divisions, you can say lobules are there, 12 to 15 to 20, they are called as seminiferous tubules, and then the gap between this tubule is called interstitial gap, or which is filled by cells called as interstitial cells or Leydig cells. They're responsible to release the male hormone testosterone. Now from seminiferous tubules, the process of spermatogenesis takes place. That is, sperms are produced. Okay, they will pass all the way through efferent duct to the epididymis. From epididymis through the vas deferens, the sperms travel all the way till the time they reach to the urethra and all. On the way, the seminal vesicle, the prostate gland and the bulbourethral gland will add their individual respective secretion which is needed for the smooth motility of the sperms, okay, and also to provide nourishment to the sperms. Again, students, to add into this, what you can add here is like the sperm duct or vas deferens from each testis travels upwards. You can see this, okay, it will travel upward. It will not immediately join here. It will travel all the way upwards, okay, into the abdomen, passing through an inguinal canal. This inguinal canal originally is the one which allows the descent of testes, along with which with the ducts, blood vessels, nerves. Like I said, you sometimes due to pressure in the abdomen, due to any kind of reason, the intestine bulges into this part, okay, into the scrotum through the inguinal canal, okay, and causes the most common type of hernia, that is the most common inguinal hernia, okay. Then a pair of seminal vesicle is nothing but a pair, okay. There are two in number, so they are lobulated glands, as you all can see, okay. A pair of lobulated glands located between the posterior surface of the urinary bladder. You can see that posterior backside, okay, and the rectum side. Now a duct from each seminal vesicle joins the corresponding sperm duct, okay. Two testes, two sperm ducts, right? So a duct from each seminal vesicle joins the corresponding sperm duct just before it unites with the urethra. Now it produces a seminal vesicle will produce what? A medium, a secretion, which functions as a medium for transportation of sperms. Now the mixture of this fluid and the sperms produce a milky fluid called the semen. In the sperm duct, the sperms are sluggish. As long as the sperms are passing from here, they are sluggish. They don't have speed. They are not having more motility. But by the addition of this secretion from this seminal vesicle, they become active and more motile, okay. This is again important. Fine. So then, next important term that we all know about the prostate gland. Again, it is a bilobed structure which surrounds the urethra. Okay, here bilobed structure surrounding the urethra here, and it is very close to the origin of your bladder, okay. It pours an alkaline secretion that we have studied into the semen. First thing, seminal vesicle will add semen, then later on prostate gland will add its alkaline secretion. It passes through the urethra and it will neutralize the acid in the female's vagina. Then comes the bulbourethral glands function. There are two small ovoid glands which open into the urethra. They will open into the urethra just before it enters the penis. Here actually, but here in this picture it's not shown. Fine. So this secretion serves as a lubricant, and then the penis part here, in case of males here, in front of the scrotum, cylindrical in shape, serves for passing out of both semen and urine. It is highly vascular organ having erectile tissues and vascular spaces. Under the influence of sexual stimulation, blood flows in large amount also into the penis and enters into the vascular spaces, or it is also called as sinuses, that vascular spaces here, which makes it rigid and erect. Expansion of the spaces here compresses the veins and thus blood cannot drain out. Such condition of penis is called erection. Okay. So this is all about the male reproductive system. Fine. We'll be studying about the female reproductive system then. Okay. So students, like just now we have seen the complete structure wise function of every single component in the male reproductive system, right from testes. Let us recap. Testes, a pair, right, oval shaped organs. Testes, a single testis can be divided into two again compartments, seminiferous tubule where the sperms are produced. That process is called spermatogenesis, right. Then another component here, the gaps between the seminiferous tubule is filled by special kinds of cells called as Leydig cells. Okay, Leydig cell, this is also called as interstitial cells. Their function is to produce a male sex hormone, that is testosterone, right? Then sperm duct basic function will be what? From each testis to carry the sperms. Okay. Then sperm duct's other name is vas differentia, vas deferens. Okay. Then most important, the accessory glands. 3 number seminal vesicle, prostate gland and bulbourethral gland. Okay. Seminal vesicle to add a kind of fluid which provides motility and nourishment to the sperms. Okay. Prostate gland to add an alkaline secretion into the semen. Alkaline secretion purpose is to neutralize the acid in the female's vagina. Then bulbourethral gland. Bulbourethral gland, which is attached very much close to the urethra, it adds a kind of secretion which acts as a lubricant. As long as the sperms, they move from the sperm duct, okay, when the sperms are moving from the sperm duct, because they are passed from here, from the testes, from the epididymals to the sperm duct, they are very sluggish, very slow, because they don't have any kind of fluid. Any kind of fluid mixture so as to give them motility, okay. So then they are very slow, they pass very slowly. But the moment this fluid from all these 3 glands get added, they become more active, more motile, okay. Then penis, and then urethra finally meets in the penis, and from there the sperms are ejaculated at the time of sexual contact, okay. So semen basically is what it can be asked in the exam. Place where spermatogenesis takes place. What is spermatogenesis? What is the what function of seminiferous tubule? What is Leydig cell? What is its role? Okay. Then scrotal sac. What is its function? Most important. How is the temperature of the sperms maintained in the male reproductive system? That you should be able to answer. So I mean, the most important, all the basic details which are really important, all things we have covered. We'll be studying now about the female reproductive system in our next session.